Welcome back to another Who You Got. I'm Will Segerman, joined by Emmett Kliger. And here, we're outside Scott Stadium, where just last weekend, UVA had a huge victory in double overtime against the number 8th ranked team in the country, Florida State. Now, this weekend, they're taking their show on the road to Louisville. Let's see what happens.
Looking back at last week's game, which was the most watched ever game on a Friday night for college football, according to ESPN, first you have to look at the offense, and that starts with one man, Chandler Morris. He had a really good game. I think you have to look at the mistakes. When he gets flustered outside the pocket, he can tend to, just sort of throw the ball up. That's something that he will have to rein in if UVA will look to make a deep playoff run. But I think the fact that we're saying UVA and potential playoff run in the same sentence is kind of a miracle at this point, and that really happens because you beat a team like Florida State at home. Obviously, you have the fans storming the field, which was a great environment. I happened to be there. It was fantastic. It was electric. I've never seen Scott Stadium so packed.
Here comes the blitz. Castellanos in trouble. Heaves one towards the end zone. Intercepted. It's over. Virginia has done it.
Now looking at the defense, Jason Prevard had 2 interceptions, one in the red zone, which was a huge momentum shifter, and one to end the game, letting the fans all come onto the field, a great environment. And obviously the defense, they did give up 38 points. It wasn't their best showing, but they did what they had to do. They forced big plays, they forced third downs, and they stopped a very potent Florida State team from completely running away with the game. I think overall you have to be happy with what the defense put out on the field. Now looking forward, you just need that defense to really allow the offense to, get on the field, allow Chandler Morris to do his thing. But, you can't just give away 50 points in a game. I think that has to be the key, especially when you have such a high-scoring offense.
Yeah, as Emmett was saying, it's been a real bend-don't-break defense this whole season that's sort of held up the UVA football team. They haven't been perfect. They're not one of the best defenses in the country, but they've gotten the crucial stops when they've needed to, and that's what they're going to have to do when they go into Louisville this weekend. This game, it's going to be a unique test, not exactly the same as last weekend. Louisville isn't the same caliber that FSU is, but the key here is that UVA is going on the road. They're 4-0 at home this season. They've been killing it, but they're 0-1 on the road. It was a close loss against NC State, who's a pretty good team in their own right. But anytime you go into a hostile environment like that, just how FSU did last week when they came to UVA, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. We're going to see how UVA responds to the crowd in Louisville.
Absolutely. Obviously, Louisville has the transfer quarterback, Miller Moss, who originally came from USC. He's no slouch. He's a very talented quarterback. They put up 34 last week against Pitt. And I think that this is a talented Louisville team. Obviously, UVA will have to do their job. The offense and defense will have to just play very well against a good Louisville team.
All right, Emmett, who you got?
Before I give you my pick, I'd first like to apologize. Last week, I did pick Florida State. Sometimes you pick against the Who's and sometimes you're wrong, and you just have to be happy about that. Obviously, this was one of the best experiences at Scott Stadium in a very long time. It was a thrilling moment to be there. I'm so glad I was there. And you know what? Sometimes you pick against them and they prove you wrong. You get a little bit of tough luck from your friends, but that's just life. Not to sound cliche at this point, but the player to watch out for this week is again Chandler Morris. Last week, he smacked his hand against a helmet and couldn't really throw for the majority of the third quarter, but he is an incredibly gritty quarterback. ESPN has him as the #1 quarterback in the ACC, and you got to watch out for him to lead this offense next week. Vegas actually has Louisville by 7. I'm going to say UVA by 7. Let's say 35-28 Who's. So, Will, who you got?
UVA, 7.5-point underdogs going into Louisville. That didn't stop them last week. They were 7.5-point underdogs last week, and they came out with the win. So I think it's going to be another shootout, kind of like how every UVA football game has gone this season. 2 top 25 offenses in the country facing off. Going to be a lot of scoring. Not sure what the over line is, but if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would be smashing that over. It's going to be 45-35 UVA, something like that. All I know is it's going to be a lot of scoring and the Who's are going to win. I'm Will Segerman.
I'm Emmett Kliger.
WUVA.